Welcome to episode 52 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies, plus tips, apps, and gear. I am your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my guest this week, returning guest, is Allison Sheridan from the Podfeet Podcast. How are you doing, Allison?
I'm doing good. I changed my own title up there. I messed you up, didn't it? Podfeet Podcasts.
Podfeet. I meant to say Podfeet Silicast. All that great stuff over there on podfeet.com is a website, and and you're in the Silicast podcasts every week. I enjoy being in your chat room and watching you as you record, and all the great community that you have with your Silicastaways. And
so much fun. I love the live show.
It is a lot of fun. So I join whenever I can. I think I'm here most weeks, but
yeah, you've been pretty good.
I'll try to anyway. So anyway, we got some good topics this week, I think. A couple of news stories we'll hit. We always talk about the news. And then I thought we would talk a little bit about Siri and some of the basics what Siri does. And we'll have some good conversation about that. And some accessibility features of iOS. There's a lot of things some people don't even know that you can do with some of the accessibility that may be good for everybody, not necessarily somebody who has vision impairment or hearing impairment and such. So good topics for this week, but let's go ahead and we'll just dig right into some of the news that caught my eye this week. iOS 12, this is on MacRumors. iOS 12 is now installed on 83% of all devices from the last 4 years. I was pretty impressed to see that, and actually not at all surprised, because you look over at Android and how that changes like every 5 seconds, I think, that they don't tend to have that much of a success rate of getting some of the newer OSs installed. What did you think, Allison?
Yeah, it's really a shame because, the newest Android operating system is really good, and yet the carriers being able to control when it gets on the devices really hampers Android. I don't think that's necessarily Google's fault. It's Google's fault for not strong-arming them so many years ago, but and we have the benefit of Steve Jobs strong-arming the carriers. But it's really unfortunate, and so many devices can't get security updates, which makes it even scarier. But they're doing a lot better at keeping their OS upgrades going. I'm curious, do you by any chance know how that 83% over the last 4 years worth of devices, how that compares to previous OSs like iOS 11 at this stage? Was it more or less? Do you know?
I did not do any research on that. I know you're always going to get me on some research of previous items. I always should know that, and that's not a problem.
Yes, guess what question I would think to ask.
That's what I like about you, Allison. Among other many things, I have a feeling it was pretty close at this point in time. I mean, I can't give you exact raw numbers, but it was pretty close at this point, because you have right now you only have 12% left iOS 11, and there's still 8% people out there still running things below that. Probably more so primarily because they have old devices that can't run anything higher than iOS 10.
Yeah, I wonder. Let's see. There's an Apple Insider article from September that said iOS 11 reached 85% ahead of iOS 12. But on the other hand, the rate of adoption looks like it's going up fairly quickly on iOS 12, because in December, iOS 12 was at 70%, and now it's at 83%. Then again, that 70% might be 70% of all devices. And if you take it down to, how about the last 4 years worth of devices? Yeah. No, that's a pretty good job. They say lies, and statistics.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, this iOS 12 was just released in September. So, you're talking about 4 or 5 months.
Wow. Yeah, that is.
Months. But things will start shifting pretty soon here. We'll be talking about here in your podcast and everywhere else about the shift to iOS 13, Lucky 13.
Do you think they'll call it iOS 13?
I would wonder, because that's kind of an unlucky number, don't you think?
I don't know. Yeah,
I've never seen Apple skip a number on their operating systems. At least
no, but they did skip the iPhone 9.
That's true. They did it.
There was no 9, right?
They went 8 to 10. You're right.
Yeah, and I think there was something else, because I remember I think Linux and Windows both skipped 9, right?
Yep.
So Windows about the number 9.
Windows went from 8 to 10. So
yeah, and actually Linux did too. Did we have a Mac OS 9?
Yeah,
OS 9.
OS 9, yes.
Yeah, we did.
OS 10, and then it's been going from 10.1 all the way to 14. So
did we have a 10.9?
We did. That was Mavericks.
Oh, look at you. Oh, now he's on his game again.
Yes, we did. And then 13 was High Sierra. So we did have a lucky 13 for High Sierra, and it wasn't that bad. So,
yep.
Other story caught my eye, and I was interested in this. I think a lot of changing is going to be happening with subscribers and subscriptions to applications in the App Store. Apple has detailed how iOS, macOS, and tvOS app developers will soon be able to offer discounted subscriptions to past subscribers to attempt to win them back. So, you always see these all the time online. I get emails all the time. I'm sure you do as well when you buy something and you decide you're done with it, and then all of a sudden, hey, we'll let you. If you come back right now, you'll get 50% off. So now you're going to start seeing these pop-ups in the apps that if you want you to come back and explore what they want.
I have a question about this. I do not understand how this is going to work at all. So with the App Store, Apple doesn't let the developers know who the customers are.
Right.
So let's say I'm a customer, but now I am no longer using the software and the developer doesn't know I was a customer. How is she going to send me a notification telling me that I can get a discount for coming back if she doesn't know who I am?
Yeah.
This seems like an empty deal. Like, it's really cool, except you don't give me the information to be able to find these people who are no longer customers.
Yeah. And I have a feeling the way it works is they see when you've canceled your subscription in the App Store, and Apple may be driving this.
No, Apple knows that.
Yeah, they know.
But
that,
how
right?
Does the developer know?
That's the thing. I don't know.
Oh, you might be onto something. Maybe the developer. So I stopped using. I stopped using the app. Then the developer puts in this thing saying, "Hey, we'll give 30% off to people who come back." Apple could then flip a switch that sends it to those people who used to be subscribers.
And they know. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Apple knows, but it would have to be Apple sending out that information because the developer simply can't, unless you've agreed to give them your address or something.
Yeah, there's no mention of that in this article on MacRumors, and
it's kind of an empty offer, if not, right?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see where they would go with that. But it's a good thing, getting developers to get more active. I know developers are changing a lot of their apps, because a lot of apps are changing to the no more freemium. They no more free apps anymore. They want to have subscriptions, and that's I think where a lot of this is going. I mean, a lot of app developers have said that they make a lot more money doing the subscription format versus just selling it for free, and then they have to spend the time. It's more costing more time to keep the maintenance on the free apps than it does with a subscription-based app. I'm sure that. So, I mean,
as much as we hate subscriptions, we also want to pay them. It's such a conflict. I believe that discussion has been had a few times.
Yeah, it has. So, check that out. It's interesting to see where things are going with apps and the subscriptions and such. So, it's good stuff. So let's move on. We can talk a little bit about Siri and we all know what Siri can do, and I think a lot of people, including you, Allison, I'm sure do you use Siri a lot, or a little bit? Maybe
I do for some very specific things.
Okay. Well, what do you specifically use it for?
I am a big fan of making reminders for myself. I do a lot of exercise. I'm running, I'm walking, and I just flip up my watch and I say, "Hey, S lady," and I tell her, remind me to blah 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 at 3 p.m. on Tuesday, or right. When I get home. I do the geofencing stuff a little bit, but it tends to be like the next day when I come home, it'll tell me. So I tend more to just go, okay, I'll probably be home at 2. Let me get reminded at 3. But that's probably the single biggest thing I use it for. Okay. For a while, I was using Siri a lot for setting workouts. So you can go into your watch, you can tap on the workout icon, you can say, okay, I want to start a 30-minute outdoor walk. Or you can lift your wrist and say, hey, S lady, start a 30-minute outdoor walk. And if you say it correctly, she starts it up and you don't have to do all the tap, tap, tap. So I do use that from time to time. I've started finding it faster now that it shows your previous workouts. So I do a walk, a run, an elliptical, and a weight lift. And so they're all right there and they're all set for the time that I normally do them. So I can just tap them. So it's gotten a little more convenient to do without Siri.
Yeah. Kind of a bit of background on Siri. I can't believe it's been what now 8 years since Siri was introduced.
It's Apple bottom, really?
Yeah, 2011 was the first time that the iPhone had it, and they still support it on a majority of older devices, even the 4S, which is no longer supported. It's 4S or later, and then you have the iPad 3 or later. So yeah, they put the two older iPads to pasture. And I don't think the 1 or 2 ever had Siri because they were the older ones. Oh, the 2 was around the iPad 2. And then of course Macs, you can do it on the Mac, which I don't. Do you use it much on the Mac? I don't.
I use it all the time because I have Touch Bar and I keep bumping that darn Siri button. That's how I use it. No, I don't want to talk to you. I don't really think I might end up using it if I didn't have the watch. But to me, why would I use it on my phone? Why would I use it on my iPad? Why would I use it on my Mac? My watch is always there. So I have a default way of getting to it that works really well. And I swear dictation is better on the watch than it is on the phone. Dictation on the phone is better than it is on the Mac, which makes no sense whatsoever from a processing standpoint, but it's better. So the watch is the way to get to it, is a lot easier. But of course, all my devices light up and then they go, oh, sorry, never mind. Yeah,
no, I was going to say the Apple Watch is awesome. I mean, it has such amazing accuracy. It picks up very well. And then the HomePods. Do you have a HomePod? I wasn't sure if you do.
I do. Okay. I don't know why, but I do.
I have 2.
I don't know if your audience knows, but I don't listen to music. But I'll play a little bit.
That's why I was asking.
Yeah. But and it is great for that since it's not like you're going to type to it, right? So it does. The dictation does work pretty well on there. One of the jokes I like to make about Siri is they have made a lot of advancements in Siri in the HomePod because now it accidentally hears things just like the Amazon Echo, where before it didn't accidentally hear you when you weren't talking to it. And Amazon Echo could do that. So now the HomePod can do it too.
Well, I mean, the HomePod's been driving me crazy too, because I mean, I just actually turned it off here for the purposes of this show, so it doesn't go. I'm not going to say that phrase. The pays.
Just call her S Lady.
S Lady.
Dave Duganzik of Smarter Home Life started that. He says it's A Lady, S Lady, G Lady. That's all you do.
So I'm finding when I do use that, hey lady, of course it battles the which devices, and especially I got an iPad, iPhone, and HomePod right next to me here. The HomePod always wins when you have it on. So it gets to a point where
do you have a watch or no?
Yeah, I have a watch too. So I have it all.
So in theory, the one you pick up is supposed to be the one that wins. So if you picked up your phone and set it, they should all light up, but then the phone should get it. And in the same way, in theory, if you use your wrist, it's supposed to. But I don't know that it always works.
It doesn't. No, because I've said, hey S Lady on my phone. I would go right. You see me putting it right to my face, and I would do it, and it's still the HomePod would win whenever you say it. So, the problem is the microphones on the HomePod are probably that much better than everything else. Maybe 100%. You should learn to take dictation. That's right. So be aware of that with Siri when you are using it. The Apple TV, I don't use it much on the Apple TV. I do use it when I use actually the dictation part of it for my password. Whenever you have to type that, or of course now you have the remote where you can type it in on your iPhone. But even when you're asking and searching for something on Apple TV, it seems to work really well through the remote.
Yeah, I don't understand why anybody complains about the remote on the Apple TV. I love the remote on the Apple TV. I don't ever want to type a password ever again. What's that?
Yeah, but this thing rocks. I got it.
It's the only thing you need to do is go get yourself a little $9 rubbery cover from Amazon. They make it so it doesn't slide through the cracks in the couch quite as easily. That's its main job. I mean, that thing is designed to go into the side of your couch, right?
This goes MIA all the time. And I have one up here in my office, and I also have one down in our down in our family room area where the TV is. And
check out these they're like little rubber gasket kind of covers. They work really well. They just make it a little bit less slick. But I definitely use it for that. I use it for go back 15 seconds, go back 30 seconds, which doesn't appear to be standardized in the content. Yep. We've noticed where we'll say go back 15 seconds and it's like a whole minute on one show and it's 4 seconds on another show. But it's a guideline. But I don't know if you know, one of my favorite things on that is you could say, what did he say or what did she say? And it'll rewind a little bit and put on the subtitles to show you what the person said briefly. And then the subtitles will fade away. And maybe that's because I'm old, but I need the subtitles sometimes. I can't hear the TV.
I put subtitles on. Sometimes you want it on just so you can understand what they're saying more so than hearing what they're saying.
Yeah, there's that. Oh, Game of Thrones. On all the time, because now that's the only way I know anybody's name is I've at least read it. I've got a chance of remembering.
So you like it? You like Game of Thrones?
Oh, I love Game of Thrones. I really didn't want to watch it. Did not want to watch it. Didn't want to see it. My daughter talked me into it.
Okay, because I haven't been talked into it yet. I bet maybe my arm is going to have to get twisted. My wife just keeps telling me, you gotta watch Game of Thrones.
Oh, so has she already seen it?
Oh, she loves it. She's obsessed with it.
Yeah, it's
every episode.
The thing I had trouble with was don't like Lord of the Rings, didn't like it. And my daughter's trying to convince me to watch it. And I watched Game of Thrones and I said, it's Lord of the Rings. She goes, no, it isn't. It's nothing like Lord of the Rings. I said, well, wait a minute. Is it a bunch of smelly people that clearly have not brushed their teeth since like the 5th century BC? Oh, yeah. Okay. Are there like dwarves and wizards and elves and things in it? Well, yeah. So there's magic. There's dragons. Yeah, there's dragons. How is this not Game of Thrones? Totally not. I mean, how is it not Lord of the Rings?
Anyway, I got off a little tangent there, but you got me. That's my fault, but that's okay. That's what's fun about doing our great show here. The Apple TV is the 4K and the 4th gen both work with Siri, which is great. And I think Apple's got a lot of good things covered with their devices. Now, some of the things
a little trick you may not know about the remote. I only found this out a little while ago. Trying to think who I learned it from. It'll come to me.
We all learn.
If you have a TV that has it's called ARC, something like that. It's part of the way the connection is done to HDMI. You can press the little TV icon and hold it, and up on screen it'll say sleep. And you flip up on the trackpad, you hit sleep, and it shuts everything off.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I think you have to have that ARC enabled, whatever it is. It's some HDMI thing.
I forget the name of it. Actually, that was driving me crazy because every time I would turn it on, it would switch modes because the Apple TV would go to sleep, but then when it would come back, because I have a home theater receiver, it would switch automatically to the stream. And I said, wait, I don't want to do that. I'm still watching TV. And
yeah. So you definitely have the capability of doing it. If that annoying thing happens where we'll be watching TiVo and then I grab the wrong remote and all of a sudden we aren't watching TiVo anymore. The Apple TV is king or queen. Yeah. She should be better than all the others.
But yes, good tip.
You'll have to try that. That technically counts as in touch with iOS, right?
It does, because I cover Apple TV tips too. Absolutely. We don't cover Apple TV enough. And maybe a whole show on just Apple TV, right?
There we go. Yeah. Like how to put things in folders, how to delete apps.
Yeah. At least half a show, but yes, the apps
could do a whole one.
Yeah, that's a good topic. You already give me topics for next time.
There you go.
So a few of the basics of Siri I wanted to talk about. Changing Siri's voice and language. Do you ever play with that much at all?
I don't. And why don't you describe it first and how to do it? Because I have a reason why I don't.
When you go into settings, you go in the settings app, and then you go into Siri and search. If you go down below there's the Ask Siri settings. Down below there, you can change the language. So if you tap the language, of course, we are in the United States, so we have it set to English, United States. But you can change it to different types of English if you want to. And it goes all the way.
Technically, it says American.
Does it say American?
It doesn't say U.S. It says American.
No, because I'm looking in here. It says English United States, English United Kingdom, English South Africa.
Mine says English United States, but wait a minute. Wait, what did I go into? Oh, I'm sorry. I was in Siri voice, not language.
Okay, yeah, I tapped into language. Yeah.
Okay.
So when I'm tapping in that, so you can change to different languages. All the way from Arabic down to Turkish if you really want to. But of course, many of us who listen to this show is English, so you even have the Irish, you have India, you have Canada. So there's all kinds of different languages you could change to.
So that's the language in which it's listening, not talking, correct?
Yes, if it's listening, so if you're talking in that language, it helps it. I would think. But
notice New Zealand's not in there.
Yeah, you're right. It's Australia. I guess they're combining the two. You know, New Zealand always gets forgotten. You know that, right?
Hey, you're going to get a bunch of hate mail. Oh, wait a minute. It is under English. Never mind. English, New Zealand.
Is it? Oh, there it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, New Zealand. We love you, New Zealand. We love you. And we know you're forgotten, but you're not. You're a beautiful country. So that's the language part of it. But you tap right into the Siri voice, and that's the kind of fun accents you can play with. And I think my wife has the male gender on her, but I have.
She likes to boss the boys around.
She likes, and then she has the British, I believe, set as well. So I always hear the British accent when she's asking Siri for help. But you have different in the English. You have 5 different accents, including American, Australian, British, Irish, and South African. So you can't.
I understood there were repercussions, and I don't remember whether it was on what she listens to or the way she speaks, or he speaks in that case. Mm-hmm. But I thought there were repercussions that, like, if you changed it to British, there was things it wouldn't be able to do.
Sometimes I think because of the accent, it may not. Or I'm not. I don't recall if it has anything specific.
Yeah, but it was some actual things. Someone in my Slack group, and I'll try to bring up who it was. I may not be able to get it fast enough. Posted a funny thing. If you have Siri do voice to text on 000, 001, 002, 003 on up to 10, when she gets to 007, if it's set to an American English voice, she says 007.
Oh,
but if she's any other voice, she says 007. Was it 007 British anyway?
I thought it was.
So
anyway,
there are repercussions.
There are, and of course, in these exact places we are right now in the settings, when it has voice feedback, there's 3 options to change that.
Sorry, really quick, it was Don Moeller who posted that in my Slack group.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll give credit. We'll give him credit as credit is due. The voice feedback is the next selection that's in here in the settings that we were looking at. And you have choices on the feedback whether it be always on, control with ring switch, or hands-free only.
What does that whole section mean? Feedback about what?
Siri will provide voice feedback even when your ring switch is because usually you have the ring switch set to some people have ring switches set to silent during the day when they're working. It looks like it does have the feedback where it'll still always be on, so you could ask her something, but it won't necessarily play. I mean, when it's all. So I understand.
On. So if I ask her, how tall is Dave Ginsburg? You're saying if I don't have it set to always on, if I've got my ring switch off and I've got it set to control with ring switch, she's not going to tell me the answer?
She should. No, when it's always on, she'll always give you the answer. When it's the control.
Control with ring switch, if I have the ring switch off, would it just print it on screen and won't say anything?
Correct. That's my understanding. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive.
Let's see. If we change it, Siri will silence all audio feedback when you set the ring switch to silent. You continue to hear Siri beep and provide voice feedback when using Hey S Lady, or when you connected to a Bluetooth device, headphones, or CarPlay. Wait a minute. What's the difference then, Dave? What does that mean?
Yeah, because then I look at hands-free only. It says Siri will only beep and provide voice feedback when you are using the Hey S Lady or connected to a Bluetooth device, headphones, or CarPlay. So, like I'm using my AirPods right now. It probably only works when the AirPods are connected. Whereas always on will provide voice feedback even when everything is turned off.
So this is like she's not going to talk to you as long as you didn't say Hey S Lady. So why is she talking to me at all if I didn't say Hey S Lady?
Well, that's the thing. You have to also turn that on when you go in, and you have to turn on Hey SLA too. So, I'll have to double check that.
Yeah, that's a weird one. Requires some experimenting, I think. I literally never went into there.
See, call me crazy.
You just poke all the buttons, don't you?
I do. So it as it says Siri talks to you even when your device switch ringer's set to silent. And then if you're not sure if it's set or not, then you just have to make sure. Yeah, that's all it says as far as any of the support articles is just it's always on unless you have the ring switch off.
Yeah.
Or control. So, yeah,
I would think having it on would be a good thing because in general, I mean, I don't get a lot of false alarms. Do you get a lot of false alarms? Like with podcasts or anything? I never do.
Just HomePod. I think I've noticed just HomePod more than anything. So, and then the other thing too is you choose your information where it says my information. That would of course be you, and that those are set in there as far as Siri and Search. And then you have Siri.
What is that for? Why does Siri and Search need to know who I am?
Well, whenever you ask her for something, and she says, "That's okay, David."
I don't think that's what it is. Because mine says Allison and Steve Sheridan, and I don't think she says.
Maybe it's just for the purposes of
it's like she knows where I am. Maybe it's part of where I am because that's that
contact.
That contact has my home address in it.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's why it says my information.
You would think it would just naturally be controlled by how in contacts you can set a card to be you.
Right. Correct.
You would think it would just grab that. That's me, right? I already told you that. Why do I got it? And I never had to set this, so maybe it is picking it up automatically.
I think it picks it up automatically. You are. So, Siri suggestions. Do you use any of those suggestions? Because you have suggestions and you have suggested shortcuts.
No, and I don't understand this whole section. Every once in a while, she just offers me things, and they're always really stupid. Like I texted Troy Shimkus that I was going to be late. So for the next week, it kept saying, "Do you want to create a Siri shortcut to tell Troy Shimkus you're going to be late?" No. I've never seen it come up with something that was something I would want to do again.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I haven't used that very often at all.
So there's suggestions in search, suggestions in lookup, suggestions on lock screen.
Right. So you have the option to turn those off if you want to.
But what are these separate from? I guess I'm kind of confused. So
it says suggestions in apps or when you search, look up and keyboard.
So is this to do with the whole automation thing only?
I think it's in this. When it's it brings up suggestions. If I'm not mistaken. I haven't explored that one as deeply as I should have.
Okay. Maybe we should have a play date and experiment with that to figure it out.
I think we do. Or do. Then, of course, it does utilize shortcuts, and it gives you suggested when you go in here. There are some suggested shortcuts. So I've got, like it says, call my wife, or it says send a message to my friend. You can in Siri and Search, it gives you those options to create those in the shortcuts, which is a whole nother topic by itself.
Well, here's a perfect example of a stupid shortcut. It's suggesting to me, I played an episode of a podcast. It wants to know, do I want to make a shortcut to always play that episode of that podcast?
That is
silly. That episode, not that podcast. That episode. It's like,
I already heard it.
I want to play it every day because, about the same time too would be great.
Yeah, exactly. So, the other thing that I discovered actually just recently, I did not realize it because I'd always whenever I would misplace, I should be the good word, my iPad, iPhone, or my Apple Watch. Now, of course, on the watch it has the little ringer that you can ring your iPhone, so you can find where you laid your iPhone down. But using the Find My Device feature, the Find My iPhone, I guess they call it, the app, of course, you have the option to sign into the app itself, or you have the option to sign into iCloud and go to Find My iPhone to find your device that way if it's really lost. But I also discovered that on HomePod, iPad, or iPhone, or even Apple Watch for that matter, you can say, "Hey, S lady, to find, where is my iPad?" Oh, it's nearby, and then it sends the ping.
I've never used that for that. I use the watch to find my phone probably 11 times a day. And half the time it's on my desk, but there's a piece of paper sitting on top of it or something.
I'm the same way. My phone's sitting under somewhere. I was like, where the heck can I do my phone? Oh, there it is.
But that's good advice if you don't have a watch. Again, if you have the watch, it's right there. It's real natural to do that. But you know what? I don't ever do it using Siri. I swipe up and I hit it.
And it also does it on the Mac. If you don't know where your Mac is, you could say, "Hey, where's my Mac?"
Really?
I played it on my
that right now?
If you want to.
I have to turn off notifications.
People may need to.
How would it know? Yeah, I'm gonna light everything up. What do I ask her?
So you say, "Hey, S lady, where's my Mac?"
Well, how does it know which Mac to ping? I've got 3 of them.
It would ask you. I only have one that's hooked up to my.
Hey Siri, where's my Mac?
And it should either list.
I'll tap you when I'm ready.
I found 2 Macs nearby. Yeah. Which one?
All right. I'll ping my MacBook Pro.
Sorry, I can't search the web.
Shoot, she was still listening. I needed to tap it. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I was not aware of that. That was one standout.
That would be bad news if I didn't know where my Mac was.
That would be.
It doesn't tend to wander very much.
No, but
especially the Mac Mini.
I mean, with it's just amazing how we're able to keep tabs on our devices now, and Siri is a nice part of that piece of that part.
Can't it also do something about your AirPods if they're out of the case? I think you can do that with Siri too, right?
Yeah, I have not tried that. I can't do it. I'm using my AirPods right now, but
but you know I'm going to do it.
I don't know. Well, go ahead. Right. I mean, if they're out of the case, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have to be out of the case, and I'm good about keeping mine in my case. Well, you could do it. It would just ping right in your ears real loud.
Yeah, just what I wanted to draw on my eardrums.
Okay, here we go. I got my AirPods open. Let's see. Cover your microphone's ears.
Cover your ears. Don't let
Siri,
it hear.
Where are my AirPods? Supposed to say find. She's looking.
You have 2 sets of AirPods, both called Podfeet AirPods. I can't tell if either one is nearby. You can check the location of your devices on iCloud.com or in the Find My iPhone app.
There you go.
No, I didn't have them completely out. Can I try one more time? Is this entertaining or really bad?
Very entertaining. Oh, this is very entertaining.
Okay, so they're out now. Now I said, where are? Let me try find this time. Hey Siri, where are my shoot, hang on.
Start over.
And I am going to say
they're in her hands.
I want a controlled experience. Yeah, they're in your hand, moron. Hey Siri, where are my AirPods? Okay, this time my phone picked it up after all my bragging that it's always the but the phone is too stupid.
Sorry, Podfeet. Something's wrong. Please try again.
That was awesome.
Something's wrong. We never said it was foolproof, but yeah, at least they've expanded that, which is kind of cool. Because I was always logging into the app anytime I'd be really freaking.
Yeah,
I leave my iPad at work. Where is it? Oh my god!
I left my phone at the gym or my iPad at the gym, and I used the app, and it showed that it was still at the gym. So I jumped in my car and I raced over there. And they searched everywhere and they could not find it. Actually, on my way there, they kept searching and I kept pinging it, going ping, 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 ping. And they kept looking for it. And they said, no, it's not here. And I said, look, I can see it on a map. It's in here in this section of the building. And somebody had put it in a safe and it was a soundproof safe. So they opened the safe up and it's going ping, 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 ping.
Gosh. Just like the story I had told many, many episodes ago about my friend who dropped his phone from a roller coaster and it went all the way down to the ground and he thought it was gone for good, but it was still on and it was still pinging. So he was able to ping it. And then the next day when they went down where it's not allowed for anybody to go to, they found it. So
wow. Did they have video on, I hope?
What's that?
Did they have was he recording video when it happened?
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been funny too. So yeah, but that was a great story. It was one of my coworkers in Cleveland that.
Wow, I love it. That's
so
excellent.
Great. But anyway, let's move on a little bit. I guess I spent a whole hour just talking about Siri, but I wanted to kind of break it up and give some different topics here. In the accessibility area, there are so many different features that are available from the iPhone and iPad. Like I said, with this topic, we could do a whole other show too. And I reviewed a couple of these notable features for accessibility, and it does cover some of the things like vision, hearing, and even literacy. The first place you can go for everyone is for settings is you just go into the settings app and then go under general. Then when you go into general, there's a choice down there called accessibility. So then you got all kinds of different things here that covers the different accessibility needs when it comes to vision, interaction, hearing, and hearing aid compatibility and such. The first one that I use really is the magnifier, and the magnifier actually now by default is turned on because people really found it to be very helpful. I'm assuming you've used the magnifier many times before.
Yes, before I had cataract surgery.
Yes, that's right.
I don't have to use it anymore. But yeah, godsend. You want to read a medicine bottle?
Oh, it's awesome.
There was a label on it.
Yeah. So that's one for sure you would definitely want to turn on.
So hold on. When you talk about turning it on, if you turn it on, it's going to turn it on. What I think you might be talking about is the accessibility shortcut. Is that what you're talking about now?
So turn on. Go ahead.
So you have to scroll to the very, very bottom of accessibility, and there's accessibility shortcut. And if once you set more than one thing, triple clicking the side button or the home button, depending on your type of device, will bring up the things that are in this list.
Correct. So the triple click the side button and it you can actually it does have buttons where you can change the order. It looks like. Can you do that?
Yeah. Let me tell you one that I got from Dr. Marianne Gary. She said one of the problems she had was when she at night she wanted to be able to have her phone screen darker, but not always be doing the darkness, the auto brightness and all that, because it would always be too bright when it first started. Reduce white point is one that actually just it isn't just dimming the screen, but it's reducing the white point. And she finds that one to be a lot more pleasing. And she just uses it for being able to read in bed at night and not blind herself when she turns the phone on.
Sure. But that one in itself, and you're right. That's the first thing I do is I go down and set it, and my accessibility shortcut is for the magnifier because I'm always using it. Click, comes up. Oh, I can read this label now. Oh, this is great. Instead of taking a picture of it, because I would do that all the time, and then do the zoom. But the cool thing is the magnifier is
about that because it actually will fold into the next one. My friend Kieran and I were on a business trip. And Kieran was the same level I was, but I was 54 at the time, and he was like 23. I hate that guy. Dr. Kieran Nolan, by the way, has a PhD in like grid computing or some nonsense. Anyway, it was the two of us and three directors. And so all of us were well over 50, well in advance of 50 years old. And he's this young whippersnapper. And they bring us our menus to dinner, and it's really dim in the restaurant. And every single one of us pulls out our phones. We're either doing the flashlight to light up the thing, or we're doing the magnifier. And I am not kidding you. My friend Kieran leans over to me and he puts his hand gently on my arm and says, "Oh, honey, would you like me to get you some mashed potatoes? I bet they could put some nice peas in it for you."
That's great. Oh my God.
Kieran comes back in a story later. I definitely want to tell, but
absolutely. So the other features that kind of stood out to me is the changing of the text size, because some people have difficulty reading, and I've seen many people have had the text size very large, and it helps them be able to see, and that's understandable. And you can go in there under larger text, you can turn that on or off, or you can bold the text too if you wanted to. Other things that maybe helps people, maybe not like the motion of the display, you can turn on the reduced motion, so it's not as moving. It might affect people that way. And that's just, there's so many others that we could really go through here. The other one was the speech and voiceover. Do you have that turned on at all?
So I do. I do a lot of testing of when I'm doing an app review, I will usually try to remember to go into the app with VoiceOver on. And I spend a lot of time teaching myself how to use VoiceOver. I'm maybe a low intermediate. Nah, I'm exaggerating. I'm better than the bunny slope, but just a little bit higher than that on using VoiceOver on the phone. On the Mac, I'm definitely bunny slope. But if I go in and right away I run into everything's an image and it's not labeled and there's no buttons, or they've labeled the buttons with the word button. Like the worst thing in the world is to see accessibility button, because it'll tell you it's a button. You don't need to put the word button. It's like somebody tried, but they did a bad job. Anyway, if I find problems right away, then I can say, I don't think this app is accessible. If I'm successful, that doesn't mean it's accessible, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I keep that available to me in case I need to test an app for somebody. But if you really want to learn about all of the accessibility features, go to iosaccessbook.com, and I'll put that link in Dave's show notes. That's written by Shelley Brisbane, and it's a great manual to walk through and buy all of the, and learn all of the VoiceOver and everything you ever want to know about accessibility on there.
Yeah, I just purchased it the other day.
Did you? Oh, good.
Preparation of this show. So it's a really good book, and you can buy it through the bookstore, through the Apple bookstores.
You can also buy it directly from her if you want. That works
directly
too.
from her website too. We'll have that in the show notes. But it's a great book, and she just updated it in, I guess it was December for iOS 12.
Oh, good. So can I tell my story?
Oh, of course.
If you couldn't tell, I was already telling stories. So the same guy, Kieran Nolan, called me up or emailed me because his father-in-law had a very, very sudden loss of sight, just like overnight lost the most of his sight. And it took us a while to get together. It took us a couple of months before we could get a time where I could go meet him and see if there's anything I could do to help. And I was a little worried because the whole family seemed to think, oh, Allison's going to come and save the day, and I'm like, I just know a couple of tricks. But the things, first of all, it was really good to go there and see him in person, because I went to his house where he sat in his chair at his computer, at his kitchen, at his table, had his devices with him. And a whole lot of things came out about in meeting him. First of all, is that he's got profound hearing loss as well. And that made things a lot more interesting. And the thing I fixed for him the most was he had the kind of fancy Bluetooth hearing aids that you can use with the iPhone to hear. So I think it's called, it's got a funny name in accessibility. But it's called hearing or something like that. I can't remember. The problem is it's got two different names, and that's why I'm stumbling over this. But if you add it, you can add it to your, what is the thing called that you swipe down from the upper right on an iPhone 10 and above?
Oh, the control
center. Yeah. So it gives you a little bit of an ear. And if you hit that ear, it starts sending anything the iPhone hears to your headphones. So I turned this on for him, and I put it in the middle of the kitchen table where his family was in a circle. So his daughter was there, and his wife and his son-in-law and me. And all of a sudden he goes, oh my gosh, I can hear Carrie. Carrie's his daughter, and she's got a very soft voice. She kind of mumbles. It's at a frequency he has not heard in years. And he was just like the grin on his face. He was so happy. I didn't go there to help him with his hearing at all. But that one thing that I knew was life-changing for him. And the whole family was just like beside themselves. And he also, I heard later, he was able to order in a restaurant because of it. Because he put it where he could hear what the waitress was saying to him. And so that was really good. But one of the things I helped him with a lot of the other stuff with the magnifier, like you talked about. Right. But the last thing I did was I bought him a copy of Shelley's book of iOS Access for All. And he's a reader. He right away brought it up in Apple Books, and he had the font real big, and he just started reading. I was like, okay, I'm just going to leave him alone now. He's all over it. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna really read this book. We'll give her a shout out. It's a great book, and I want to read through it. I want to be, and even though I may not need a lot of the accessibility stuff, I still like to be aware of it, because people ask me.
You never know when somebody needs your help.
Yeah, exactly.
One time I had somebody who just like, why is my phone talking to me? And somehow VoiceOver had gotten turned on. I was like, click, okay, it's fixed. It's like, you're a magician. Yeah. You all like that feeling, right?
So I think we talked about that. This was didn't we talk about that on Chit Chat Across the Pond? We might have.
We may have. I repeat myself a lot, Dave.
That's okay. It's been a long time. It's a good refresher to understand these things. So, did you have anything else about accessibility you wanted to touch on?
That's probably enough.
Yeah, I think we're pretty good here.
I just thought of this. 12 shows on that alone.
We could. And I figured don't want people to get overly crazy with listening to some of this stuff, but I think you enjoy what we talked about today. One of the things I wanted to touch on, we haven't started advertising it, is MacStock. You and I are both.
It's a terrible conference.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
You meet people.
It's the fifth year. Did you speak all 5 years?
Yes, I did.
You did, so as well as I did. So
4. I don't know if I've been accepted yet.
The 5. Yeah, I kind of know.
We don't know. Yeah.
You never know. Well, I don't think either one of us will have a problem with that. But I wanted to tell people a little bit about MacStock. We talked about it, of course, at great length last year. There's 150 days left until the conference. I believe it is scheduled for July 27th and 28th. Isn't it great? I mean, just the networking alone we do, right?
It is the best thing in the world. It is.
You and I got to meet there. That's how it all started for me. So.
Yeah. So if people don't know much about it, it's an interesting format. One of my favorite things is it's everybody's in the same room at the same time for the main stage. I kind of wish it was always like that through the whole conference, because whatever session I pick, I'm sure the other one was probably better. I've got FOMO, something fierce. I'm convinced the other speaker must have been better, whatever. But the speakers do a 20-minute speech that explains kind of a top level of what they're going to talk about, and then a deeper dive session that's, I think, 40 minutes long. That goes into breakout sessions. But that gives you a chance to actually ask people questions and really dig in. And the thing that Mike does really well is the guy that runs MacStock, Mike Potter. The thing that he does really well is he leaves adequate time for breaks. So you have time to talk to people. So you go to a deep dive session, and invariably it might not be the speaker that you really want to talk to afterwards. It might be, Sally asked that really interesting question of Kelly Gamont when she was talking about Text Expander. Let me go find out what she's doing. And all of a sudden, you've got a friend for life, because she's a geek. You're a geek. You're going to go talk to her. You're going to end up on a podcast with somebody. The friends you make there are friends you're just going to keep having. I can't get rid of Dave. I mean, geez. Just follows me around. I just can't get rid of him.
Oh yeah, it's and this really is the godsend of what this podcast started with. I mean, when I decided to create this podcast, and you guys, I still remember you and Chuck Joyner asking the question, "Why aren't you doing a podcast?" Yeah.
It was just born to podcast. He just didn't get the memo when everybody else did.
2 episodes later, here I am. But
52.
Yeah, I can't believe it. 52 episodes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It seems like yesterday. So go to the website. We'll have it in the show notes. So the easiest one to remember is macstock2019.com. It's a bargain right now. I mean, we've got some great rates. The 2-day weekend pass is $179, and it's a limited time early birds pricing, and includes you get lunch both days. You get to hang out with.
Good.
Food is pretty awesome. Yeah, surprisingly now.
Brownies.
Yeah, the brownies were good, and you get to hang out with Barry Falk in the Midwest Mac Mingle. Barry's the greatest guy in the world, and he does he's got evening events between the Saturday and the Sunday, and I can't wait to see that. And the other cool thing is David Sparks is going to be there and do his 500th episode of Mac Power Users. So
wow, that's cool. Is Mike Schmidt's going to be with him?
I think so. I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's Stephen Hackett's with him.
Oh, Stephen Hackett's with him. That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah. He does another show with Mike.
Yeah. He and in fact, they're actually. I'm really bummed. I had a ticket and all ready to go. They were having. They had a show coming up here this weekend in Chicago because I think they're in for the law meeting or some sort. Yeah. So and they were going to have a meetup and. Yeah, I got to go to a wedding. I'm sad. I was going to miss it, but I wanted to be there. But it's absolutely a great, amazing event. And like you said, everybody's so friendly. We had such a blast. I got to meet you guys, and I got friends for life now. And you can make more when you get there if you haven't been there. you can be making some friends too. So come check it out.
Oh, and one other thing, a lot of people will find that they like Steve Sheridan better than me. So there's that. You get to meet Steve.
Steve's a great guy. He definitely is. I still have my picture of him and I together when we first met, and we were at Barry's.
Neat.
Backyard, if you remember that from that's 4 years ago now.
4 years ago? Yeah. It's crazy.
Time flies when you're having fun here, I tell you.
It is. I mean, I think we're downplaying the instructional level of what you learn.
We haven't even talked about that part.
Yeah. I mean, the sessions are really high quality. There's a lot of great information. I've learned something every single time. And I, I'm a know-it-all, right? I think I know everything, and I go there and I learn a ton of stuff. So it's great fun and a lot of knowledge. Yeah, we're fanboys and girls here, aren't we?
We are. That's why I wanted to bring it up. We'll make sure Mike knows we brought it up too. So with that, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about before we wrap it up here?
Well, can I plug my shows?
Yes. Please tell us about you and how people can find you and your shows, because they are great shows.
Like you said, you can find everything at podfeet.com. There's kind of 4 shows live right now. The NosillaCast is a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Mac bias or Apple bias, depending on the century you're listening in. That's changed over time. That's kind of a gadget review. I do a lot of stories and tech things. We do interviews. We're finishing up the last of the CES interviews. Steve does video recordings of those, and then we do them as audio on the show too. And then I've got a 2 shows that are both under the Chit Chat Across the Pond moniker. One is Chit Chat Across the Pond Light. And light in my world would include things like Donald Burr was on a couple of weeks ago to talk about how to build your own 3D printer. That's what's considered light on my show. Dave Hamilton's going to be on next week this week to talk about mesh routers. That is also a light show. The heavier show is called Programming by Stealth, and that's where Bart Bouchatz out of Ireland has been teaching us to program, starting with HTML and the stealth parties he snuck up on us. HTML is all easy, and then you learn a little CSS, you make it look pretty, and then before you knew it, we were into JavaScript and jQuery, and now we circled around. We've done some Bootstrap. I mean, it's really, really fun. But that's a heavy lifting episode. So but it's a lot of fun. I really look forward to it every week. But I got to warn you, there's homework. We have 72 episodes of that so far.
I was on it too at one point too.
Yeah. You are on light episodes.
Light episodes, right?
Yeah.
I'm not I'm nowhere near what Bart does, but Bart does some great stuff, and it's such a great show. And you have such a great audience, and I really appreciate everything you do. So
they are the reason I do it. That is absolutely the case. They just rock. So everything good starts with podfeet.com. Join our Slack group at podfeet.com/Slack, and that's probably enough plugging of all my stuff.
No, great stuff. All right, well, then that's a wrap. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter at intouchwithios. You can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, and TuneIn Radio. Or better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. Again, thank you, Allison, so much for being here.
Thanks for being here, or thanks for having me here, and I will see you at MacStock.
Yes, we'll see you at MacStock, and thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.